Welcome to another episode of vBrownBag. No, we are here to meet the expert. This is Chris Williams. Chris Williams, would you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name's Chris Williams.
What do you do, Chris?
I am an enterprise consultant working for Green Pages. My concentrations are virtualization, data center, AWS, public cloud, and a little bit of scripting. That's about it.
Okay.
That's all I do.
Have you seen any of these videos?
I haven't. I apologize that I haven't seen any yet, but I'm excited to contribute.
So in here, what we're going to do is we're going to meet Chris Williams. Okay. We're going to try to paint a good picture of who Chris Williams is. But what I love to start with is, how did you even know that you wanted to get into IT, and what was your first IT job? How did you get it?
Oh, okay. That's
we dig deep.
Holy mackerel! All right, let's peel back the layers. Back in the old days, So I got into IT because of video games. So I was a big video game player.
Which video games?
So the IT. So I was always into like the role-playing games, and Zork. This is dating me.
Ready Player One things.
Yeah, all the Ready Player One stuff. In the arcades and all that stuff. I started on a Commodore 64, and then I got an Amiga 2000, and basically these were just game machines for me, and I was learning a little bit of programming as I was going, but it was to satisfy my need to play video games. And then in college...
Why? Were you getting like the magazines that bring a game and you have to type it in?
Yeah, exactly, totally. You remember that? Nice. Nice.
I interviewed a few graybeards.
So, ouch. So in college, me and my roommate were playing Doom separately, and then we're like, oh wait, we can network these things together. So we went out and we bought some 10
modem cable.
No, we got 10 meg cards, and this was Ethernet. Mm-hmm. We got 10 meg cards and a little 10 hub, not even a switch, but an old Genki hub, 4 ports. And we linked them together.
And you had to figure out how IP addresses work.
Figured out IPs, figured out port opening up ports, all that stuff. And it grew. And my roommate Tom, he was a CIS major, and I was pre-med. And
you were pre-med?
I didn't know that. And so.
Dr. Chris Williams.
Oh yeah, that's exactly why that never happened. So Tom's proctor comes to the dorm room, and he sees this. So this had grown over time. Like some of his friends came over. We were running LAN parties back in the day, and we were playing Doom basically, and just destroying each other. His proctor comes in. He sees 8 people. We had bought an 8-port hub at this point. He sees 8 people playing Doom, and he goes, "Good job, Tom, on setting up this network. This is exactly what." And he was like, "No, it's the pre-med kid." So the university on the spot hired me to go to the CIS department to redo their. I mean, because I had everything wired really pretty. I had it tagged and running down the line. I mean,
where did that come from? Like wiring pretty.
OCD. So,
okay.
I pulled cable as I was an electrician's assistant for a couple of summers, and so I learned how to pull cable correctly in walls, and so I was pulling Ethernet cable for this basically, and so I had a very nice setup in the office, and so they hired me on the spot and said come do this for the CIS department.
Compared to a rat's nest, this guy's gonna be the solution.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it did look great. And by the time I was finished, we were having our LAN parties in the CIS department after hours, playing StarCraft and all that kinds of stuff. So I got into this via networking. My first certifications were my CCNA. Then I got my MCP and my MCSE.
When was this? Were you already out of? Were you still working for the college at this point, or?
I had decided. So I got my degree in psychology, just to get out. I was like, what's the closest thing I can do to get out? And they said psych. I was like, fine, let's do it. So I got out.
So you decided this was not a big challenge enough. You finished your career and then continue with this on the side.
I really liked it, and I was like, okay, well, how can I do well at this? And then basically IT was blossoming at the time. This was down in Mobile, Alabama, and so I got my MCSE.
I didn't know you lived. Hold on, for me, Chris is New Hampshire. Where were you born?
Japan. So my parents were in the military. I was born in Japan. I was raised in Germany. The first time I saw the States was when my dad retired and we moved to Mobile, Alabama. So that's where I attended university, got my MCSC, got my CCNA, got out of Mobile, Alabama.
But still in the working for the college.
Yeah, I was working for the college.
My next question is what moved you from going from your first job to whatever?
Oh, well, I had, at that point, I had both my CCNA and my MCSC, and at that time, Mobile became too small for me. And a ex-girlfriend of mine from Germany who had moved to New Hampshire said the IT market up here is booming. She was a SQL DBA at the time. She said, you got to come up here. It's super amazing. This was in 2000. So I pack up all my stuff and I moved to New Hampshire. As I'm driving, that's when the .com bust happened. I'm driving. I'm in the car. Pets.com goes under. This other one goes under. I mean, it's like dying as I'm driving up here to like take. And I show up. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm here to do IT stuff. And they're like, okay, yeah, thanks. So I struggled for a little bit. Took a bunch of contract gigs, and then just, I mean, it's just one thing after another. So you actually was your old college company sending you to classes and stuff? So after I graduated, I stopped stopped doing things for the university. I actually went over and started teaching classes at Learning Tree.
Okay.
And so I taught. So I got my MCSE and
started giving classes.
I did so well at it. They're like, hey, you want to teach the classes that you just took? I was like, okay, sure, why not? So I did that for a little bit, and that's when I was like, okay, I got to get out of this town. So then I got to New England.
Had you ever taught before? Had you ever had to interact with 10, 20 people at the same time? I know the LAN parties count, but
no. That was my first go. I was terrible at it too. I'm still terrible at it, but back then I was even worse. So that went as well as you would expect.
Because I know you as one of the best hosts of vBrownBag. You have the booming voice. You are so super friendly always.
That is highly inaccurate, but thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. For the record, Kyle's behind the camera going, hey, my chopped liver here? What's going on? What's the matter with you? He's being very complimentary on camera.
I'm just saying there's one person in the history of vBrownBag that presented and hosted at the same time.
That is a good point. And he does have the deep, booming voice as well.
I muted myself for 12 minutes of that.
I want to put that in the comments under your section.
Totally, absolutely.
Jonathan Frappier is the only one that has done this and this and this.
And now that you've said that, we're all going to host and present at the same time. We're going to do this. We're going to drive this coffin.
And see who can mute himself for more time than 12 minutes.
Where's Josh? I at-willed myself. Oh. So I hadn't taught or done anything beforehand, but I liked showing people how to do things. Even when I was taking the classes, other students were asking me like how do you do things and stuff like that, and I loved it. I loved showing people how to do things in IT and how to make things work. And after you've done it enough times, you get good at it. So what facility I have in this is from practice. It's just doing the same thing over and over and over again, beating it into my head until I got it. So I got good at it, and I started teaching other people.
When you went to New Hampshire, did you start taking kind of like consultant jobs, or did you actually work as a customer?
I took consultant jobs because I had to. This was right when the .com was dying, and so I took a couple of consulting gigs. But then I immediately, as soon as I could find a full-time employment job, I immediately jumped into that, not knowing how much I love consulting now.
Because I was going to ask you about that. I mean, you taught, so it's a different thing. But then moving into consulting, it's like you literally got thrown into it, and hey, I'm a consultant from that now.
Right, and this was like basically like a modem configuration guy. It wasn't consulting in the classic sense of me going in, doing the design, gathering the requirements and stuff like that. It was, hey Chris, here's 200 ISDN modems. We need you to blow the config down and change the IP addresses. Okay, here we go. Game on. So that contract work and consulting work was what I was doing.
When did you actually go from customer to vendor? Like you're now
2 years ago.
That was the first time?
Brand new, yes.
tell me about it. Tell me how the shift has been for you.
I love it. So I was actually just talking with a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a while, and she asked me, how the consulting life has been going. I've been the consumer, I've been the customer for my entire career, and I did not realize how amazing it is on this side in terms of staying on the bleeding edge, meeting new people, getting the hardest problems thrown at you, working with people to resolve those issues, and just your nose is always in a book. You're always learning something new. Somebody comes up and, like one of my salespeople goes up, how much? What do you know about Puppet, Chris? 0. But if you give me 2 weeks, I'll make it sing. And so I go and I study Puppet and I learn about it and I ask questions and I get really good at it, and then we go on a gig. So it's the pace of learning really calls to me, and it's not for everybody, but for me the frenetic pace feeds my OCD and keeps my brain happy, so I really enjoy it.
Okay. When did you get involved with vBrownBag and how?
It's a very similar story to John's. I was studying for not my VCP but my VCAP. I was going for my DCA 5.5 at the time or something, and I was just basically Googling sources of material for it, and I was like, oh, what's this vBrownBag stuff? And just video after video after video, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And so I just started, I studied for it, I took it, I passed it, and I was like, this and it was because of vBrownBag, basically. I then found out that vBrownBag was going to be at VMworld. This was like, what, 2 years ago? 3 years ago? Yeah, three years ago. And I ran into John and Alistair, and John has a stoic presence at VMworld, to say the least. and I was like really excited to meet him because I recognize his voice and all of that. And John's like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. All right. Yeah. And and I was like, well, he's really nice on camera. So I was like, you guys are awesome. If there's anything that I could do to, like, help out or anything like that. And as soon as I said that,
help out,
like, oh, but as a matter of fact, there is. so that's when John got the first smile I saw from John.
When he was thinking sucker?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yes, you can help us. Oh, yes. And so I started hosting. And been doing it ever since. I love it. I especially love it when I host something that I know literally zero about, and I'm frantically Googling on the back end to, like, think of good questions to ask the person presenting or whatnot.
This is how we know you're such a good host, because I just asked them out. Period. Oh, and the guy goes like, no.
I just said that like 3 seconds ago.
Yeah.
That's when I'm always like, oops. No, I mean it's like we're doing Terraform, and we did
Mm-hmm.
Marks just did a thing on disk storage, and he got into, like, RAID 10 striping parity bits and stuff. I mean, like super deep granular stuff, and it's just. Even if you don't think you're going to enjoy it, you enjoy it. It's like you're like, wow, this is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the AWS series that we did, that was really fun. I just passed my associates, my SA Solutions Architect Associate, and we wanted to do an essay series. So we got a bunch of guys together, and we all just talked about different sections of the exam. We do the VCPs, the VCAPs. I mean, it's really fun gaining that knowledge. And then distributing it as much as possible.
Yeah.
On my blog, my best article on my blog is how to study for the AWS Solutions Architect Associate. Second best is Pro. Mm-hmm. So it's really fun to learn all this stuff and give back.
I think you and I had talked about when you decided, okay, I'm going to learn AWS. You committed to it. You helped form the user group up here, I think.
Right, the AWS Portsmouth user group.
Right.
200 members strong.
Yeah, no, and I remember that you told me that some of the AWS people are studying with your resources. So that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that was a real compliment. I didn't realize that. Some of the TAMs, they were like, they came to VTUG and they were like, oh, you're Mistwire? Because they saw my badge, and they knew me as Chris, but they didn't know me as Mistwire. And so they saw my badge and they saw that it said Mistwire. I was like, that sounds familiar. And is this your article? I was like, yeah. It was going around the internal AWS Slack channels as a good reference to study for their own exam. Wow. And I was like, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. It's truly amazing. So I asked John this question: what have you got? Because I know vBrownBag. We're a crew. We really love what we do. We love making sure that we get someone who knows about something, and then we can distribute it for free. Yep. Everybody, we encourage coming back to this person on Twitter. We love that part. But what have you got on vBrownBag? Because I know you are a big community proponent. That those are good examples that we just talked about. But tell me what your perspective is.
So, a bunch of really good friends. All the people that I'm following on Twitter are like the best at what they do. All the people that I get exposed to and meet. I mean, I can't even think of all the names of the folks that I've met through vBrownBag. I mean, not to mention going to VMworld Barcelona, just being able to meet these people in real life. We've come across and run into people as vBrownBag, carrying the vBrownBag flag that we wouldn't otherwise, and learn technologies that we wouldn't otherwise. My first exposure to Git was through Commitmas, during that time when we did it for 22 days, which was hard, that was tough, but we learned Git backwards and forwards, and now I auto commit. I use VS Code and I auto commit up, and now it's second nature. But back then, I mean, that was a slog to get through that. Yeah. So I've received back far more than I've given in my time from vBrownBag.
Cool. Anything else that I haven't touched on about who you are that you would like? I mean, we share interests for anime.
Yep.
We love cats. You have the IT Kitty hashtag. Basically, it's basically yours, right? I think it's what it is.
Yeah.
And
I should put Kermit on here.
and I've known you again. You're a super nice and super approachable person. Yes, you are. But anything else that we haven't touched on about Chris Williams? Because we're trying to meet Chris Williams. So.
I have done a lot of martial arts in my life, and I
from the time so how much time did you spend in Japan?
So we left when I was 3. So I didn't start doing. No, I started doing kung fu. A Shaolin monk who had defected to America, I met in Mobile, and he taught me full contact martial arts. I learned from a Shaolin monk, orange robes and everything. He's a super nice guy too. And so he taught me Northern Shaolin Kung Fu, and we went around and did the amateur MMA stuff for a couple of years until I broke a lot of things. So I love Tai Chi and yoga and martial arts in general.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
All right. Your blog, your Twitter handle, any other way people can contact you?
Mistwire, Mistwire.com, @Mistwire. If you put Mistwire in Google, I will be the first 10 things.
Where does Mistwire come from?
That was a password. So the old Earthlink CDs. So you pop open the Earthlink CD, and you could slot the CD. The username and password were pre-generated and printed on the inside of the thing. You break the seal and you get your username and password. So you put the CD in, you put in the thing, and I was like, that's Mistwire. That's kind of cool.
So that was your user? Your assigned user?
That was my username on Earthlink, and then I used that as my gamer handle because nobody had that. Mm-hmm. Before then, I was like, Logan or something. But I mean, when Wolverine became popular, everybody had the handle Logan, so I wanted something unique. The domain was available, .com. I mean, 8 letters and still available on .com. It was, just kismet. Everything happened for a reason, and so now I log into everything as Mistwire just to grab it, so nobody else can hoard it. So I'm on Instagram and everything, not Snapchat.
Why not Snapchat?
My wife has told me that Snapchat is the app for people that are having affairs. Therefore, I am not allowed to have Snapchat.
There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect.
So, honey, if you're watching this, Mistwire on Snapchat is not me.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was great. I learned a lot about you, And I encourage you, if you
More than you ever wanted to know.
Super friendly guy, reach out to him on Twitter. He'll help you with everything. He'll loan you money, everything. Thank you so much.
Wait, what?
Okay.